Creative Pro Wrestling fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Brawl-O-Ween was a great show from All Sports in Melville, New York, and my first Creative Pro show since July. My first time in Melville, and that's the 10-year anniversary show over a year ago. We arrived a short time after we sat down. Actually, as we were about, we entered the room, well, the hockey rink. The kickoff show, we see a singles match. We see the sweeper Eddie Prevedi taking on Azure. Not sure if even Stevens are known more, because it seems like Azure's been given like a whole new character, and they don't even call him Steven anymore, even though it's his real name. Azure defeats the sweeper Eddie Prevedi at 46 seconds. And then a few minutes later, the main show kicks off with the Skid Row Street Fight, as a Silver Sniper TJ Crawford challenged the Rock and Roll Animal. I don't know if that's his nickname now, but we knew him as Rocket Boy Nick Robles for the television championship. A wild and crazy match this was, as there were like individual drums. At one point, Crawford takes a drum and like kind of breaks it over Robles' head, but Robles had drumsticks in his hand. He's like drumming the drum that was placed like bashed over his head. All we needed, I kept saying throughout the match, all we need is Phil Collins to do that In the Air Tonight drum solo. Also, Robles brought a guitar into place and used it on, hit Crawford in the midsection with it, and it broke. A table was put out there, and Crawford, put Robles through that table. At one point, Robles had like a little kitty keyboard. He used that on Crawford, and also another little box that looked like a kitty keyboard, but instead it was like thumbtacks. But I think Robles ended up the human pin cushion on that one. I forget exactly how it ended, but Nick Robles defeats TJ Crawford at 10 minutes 15 seconds to retain the television championship. Up next was a fatal four-way match. We see the Adrenaline Express, EJ Risk and VSK versus the Dime Piece Aaron Rourke and his partner, who's having his final match on Long Island, New York, Dan Barry, versus representing AEW's Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, versus Aaron Ortiz and Anthony Vecchio, the Shooter Boys, for the Tag Team Championship. A lot of close moments in this matchup, and Adrenaline Express is one team that they always give their all. Shooter Boys, it's been over a year since they debuted, and they've been champions since earlier this year. Reynolds and Silver are pretty much veterans now. Shooter Boys are victorious, defeating Adrenaline Express, Aaron Rourke and Dan Barry, and Alex Reynolds and John Silver at 14 minutes 10 seconds to retain the Creative Pro Tag Team Championship. And people, namely Brian Myers and Evil Kip, came out and had give Barry a see-off. And funny thing is, John Curtis, the founding father of NYWC, was in attendance, and Barry pointed him out, and Curtis was like trying to look away as if like, where's John Curtis and stuff, but Curtis was there with his wife and his son. Obviously, was there to say goodbye to Barry, and Barry thanked everyone for a 25-year career. All right, yeah, Shooter Boys retained the tag belts. Up next was a handicap match, as we saw. We're set to see the leading man, Jock Thomason, who still looks like Tom Holland of Spider-Man, as he joined forces with his stunt double, Bobby Cassell, as they had a handicap match with the Dominican Destroyer Vargas. Prior to the match getting underway, out comes General Manager, the Answer to Your Prayers, Ariela Nyx, and she says to Vargas, this thing with you and I needs to end. And so she says to Vargas, she says to Vargas, if you lose this match, you're fired, and you'll be fired for good. But if you win, I'm not the general manager anymore. And the match was on. At one point, I think, was it Cassell or Thompson put his hands on the referee, and the referee was ready to call for the bell to disqualify them. But Ariela Nyx comes in and says, no, you disqualify, you call for the bell, you'll be fired. And the referee says, really, I'll be fired? But he didn't call for the bell at that point in time. At one point, Thomas had accidentally knocked Nyx off the apron. I forget exactly how, but Vargas defeats Jack Thompson and Bobby Cassell at 9 minutes 48 seconds, and as a result, the pre-match stipulation, that was agreed upon. Ariela Nyx no longer the general manager of Creative Pro Wrestling, and the funny thing is, the security was coming out to take Ariela away from ringside, and Vargas, the fans were already singing, but Vargas says 1, 2, 3, and they were singing the na 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 hey hey goodbye song. I don't know who sings that, by the way. So now Creative Pro Wrestling has no general manager at this time. So we'll see how that pans out, or if Ariela Nyx will be wrestling more often. Next up, we see making her Creative Pro Wrestling debut, Shotzi Blackheart, as she was set to challenge Latina Spice Nat Castle for the Women's Championship. And Castle was accompanied by Sebastian Amore. But the funny thing is, I think just after the bell rang, I don't know if it was Amore. Yeah, I think he tried to do something to Shotzi, like grab her foot from outside the ring. Shotzi asks for the microphone. She says, I got a friend who happens to be a lawyer, and it's none other than Smart Mark Sterling, who started Creative Pro and currently in AEW, and he stayed at ringside for the match and brought out garage beer. It was 2 cases of beer. I don't know. I said Sterling appears in those commercials for that one. The match was on, and at one point, I think Amore came up to the apron. Nat Castle's going to use that spice container of hers, but Mark Sterling gets to the ring. He grabs it from her, and he throws the spice in Shotzi's face, and Castle pins Shotzi at 11 minutes 58 seconds to retain the Women's Championship, and Sterling left the ring with Castle and Amore. And then it was time for the Halloween Costume Rumble. Number 1 was Pat Fitzpatrick, dressed as Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Number 2 was his own partner, Jay Macias, dressed as Woody, the cowboy from Toy Story. Somebody was dressed as Santa Claus. I didn't know who it was. TG3 was dressed as Mr. Halloween himself, Michael Myers. Someone came out dressed as John Cena. Somebody was dressed as, Sebastian Moore was dressed as Nat Castle. The Evil Kip was 6'7". Some costume that it was. Let me see who else I can remember. Oh, Jackson Crow as Just Joe, not the WWE version. And Just Joe as Joe Hendry. Jay George as Biker Undertaker. Let me see who else I remember seeing in this matchup. Oh, CPA as the Big Show. Oh, the artist Jake Lang, dressed up as, I think I don't know the name of that movie that Ben Stiller was a dodgeball character, where Ben Stiller was in that movie. Dante Drago as Clark Kent / Superman. Somebody was out there as dressed as Jeff Hardy. Not sure if that was everybody in the match, but the last entrant was Slade, who came out as himself, and he ended up winning the Halloween Costume Rumble at 14 minutes 55 seconds. But it seemed to me that people were coming out like every few seconds. It seemed, folks. Okay. Up next, surprise, this match didn't go on last, as we saw Bobby Orlando defending the heavyweight championship against Leo Sparrow. Good match these guys had. Leo Sparrow ended up defeating Bobby Orlando at 13 minutes 36 seconds to become the new Creative Pro Wrestling heavyweight champion. If Bobby held on, I don't know who would have been left to challenge him for the championship, because for those who don't know, up until this event, Bobby had been champion for over a year. And then what wound up being the main event, it was a mixed tag team match. We saw Priscilla Kelly, formerly Gigi Dolan, and Zachary Wentz of the Rascals, the two of them collectively known as the Demolition Lovers. No, they didn't have face paint on like Axe and Smash and Crush, rest his soul. as they did battle with Gabby Forza and a certain wrestler from Long Island, New York, known as Bear Bronson. I don't have a drink on me, but Bear Bronson. They're collectively known as the Savage Gnomes. A fun match they had. Prior to the match, Gabby had these gnome hats, or like party hats. They didn't say happy birthday on them, but they were like, it was like she took off one hat and it was a smaller hat. And she took the small hats, put one on her husband Bronson, put one on Priscilla, one on Zachary, and had one for the referee. I don't know, and he actually kept his, I don't know if his hat stayed on the whole match. The Savage Guards ended up defeating Zachary Wentz and Priscilla Kelly at 14 minutes 59 seconds to end a great night of wrestling. By the way, this show ran straight through without an intermission, folks. Okay, personal notes time. Now it's good seeing Jessica, Leanne, Sam, Lauren, Ryan Peterson, Thomas. I was surprised to see him at this event. There were two good-looking ladies sitting near us. Let me see, who else do we have? Damn, who else can I think of? Those kids behind us, they were something throughout the night. Like I said, because they went straight through it, actually it was over by 10:30. And after it was over, Jessica got pictures with the new champ, Leo Sparrow, one with Dan Barry. Okay. And also we got one with Ryan Peterson. Okay, yeah, there was one memorable quote. Kick him in the ball sack! One of those kids behind me during the Nick Roberts, TJ Crawford Skid Row street fight. No return date was announced for when Creator Pro will be back in action. I don't know if they're going to be doing shows in Hicksville. Normally in December, they run a show in Hicksville called Frostbite, but no announcement was made. No announcement when they'll return to Lynbrook either. But of course, the question is, where does this leave if Ariela Nyx is done with Creator Pro, but she's no longer the general manager? I mean, will there be a new GM assigned? Also, Leo Sparrow being the new champion, I wonder where that leaves, where Bobby Orlando goes next. Wondering, I guess, I don't know, even Stevens or no more, seeing that Azure is just been like repackaged. Well, of course, the Mayhem medal was not defended, which Jack Tomlinson was in the handicap match with Vargas. I think, I'm going to predict right now, may not be in 2026, but the Savage Gnomes, I think, will end up Creator Pro Tag Team Champions someday. And that would make Gabby Forza the first woman to be Creator Pro Tag Team Champion. I don't know if Uztek Sucio, the other half of Los Toxicos, was there or not. Wow. Let me see. Very Leo Sparrow. Well, I guess that I enjoyed myself. I guess that's pretty much will do it. Pretty good show, Creator Pro Wrestling, and can't wait to what you have in store. Whether you run in December, whether I make it in December or not, if you do Frostbite in December in Hicksville or in Lynbrook, or if you just decide to wait till the new year to do another show. But can we see Creator Pro live again? CAP.